Tomo Aizawa starts high school by telling her childhood friend, Junichiro Kubota, that she likes him. But for Tomo, this is a romantic thing, while Jun does not get it at all and just thinks of it as friendship, calling Tomo his best friend, which breaks Tomo because Jun still does not see her as a girl. Jun lives next door, so they had been together since they were kids, but in middle school, when they finally started going home together, Tomo realized the problem. Jun saw her skirt and instead of seeing her differently, just reacted like it was weird. So since then, Tomo has been stuck trying to change how Jun sees her. At school, Tomo complains to her old friend Misuzu Gundo, but Misuzu does not comfort her much and says Tomo always played like a boy, fought other kids, and refused girly games, so Jun's thinking is not a surprise. Misuzu tells Tomo her first problem is her rough way of talking and tells her to try a gentler tone. Tomo tries this advice when Jun asks what she is buying at the school store, but her polite acting sounds too fake, so Jun says she sounds like an old man, which makes Tomo angry. Their usual fight starts, and when Tomo gets home, her father Goro sees her bruised face and asks if she lost to Jun, since he taught them both karate. Tomo blames her father's training for making her this way. The next day, Jun keeps apologizing because Tomo is ignoring him, and he admits life is boring when Tomo is not around, so Tomo finally forgives him. But when Jun calls her his best friend again, she knows he still does not get it. At lunch, Misuzu notices Tomo always eats with her even though she wants to spend time with Jun, so she forces all three to eat together. But Jun and Misuzu do not like being near each other, and things get worse when Jun casually eats fried chicken with Tomo's chopsticks, embarrassing Tomo. Later, Jun's classmate Tanabe misunderstands when Jun says he does an intense co-ed sport with Tomo. Jun is only talking about karate, but Tanabe finds their relationship suspicious, so Misuzu clears things up by saying Jun does not even see Tomo as a girl. Tanabe wants to help, but Misuzu warns him not to interfere because only she is allowed to mess with those two. On a rainy afternoon, Jun and Misuzu are waiting without umbrellas until Tomo arrives, and Misuzu forces Tomo to share her umbrella with Jun. Tomo feels nervous because she just came from practice and thinks she probably smells like sweat, but Jun tells her she actually smells good, which makes Tomo panic and run off into the rain, leaving Jun confused. In the karate club, Tomo trains with the boys' club captain Masaki, who is impressed by her strength, while Tomo feels bad that she always gets too intense. She explains she actually joined the girls' club at first, but after she overwhelmed the new students, no one wanted to practice with her. Misaki tells her she is still charming and should not force herself to change, which makes Tomo emotional because it is the first time a boy has said something like that to her. Two girls from Class B, Mifune and Ogawa, see Tomo getting close to Misaki and decide to confront her because they both like Misaki. But before meeting Tomo, they hear rumors about how terrifying she is in karate and regret their plan. Tomo thinks they want to fight, but Misuzu warns her that girls usually argue with words, not fists. After school, Mifune and Ogawa nervously explain they like Misaki and were bothered by Tomo's closeness to him, but Tomo misunderstands and thinks they want love advice. Instead of getting angry, she gets excited because helping girls with romance makes her feel more feminine, so she tells them the first step is to become her friends, and somehow her confidence makes them trust her. Later, Tomo celebrates because she thinks she's becoming more girly, but Misuzu reminds her that in middle school, people called her Natural Lady Killer, a nickname Tomo does not understand at all. Then Jun calls her to go to the school store, and Mifune and Ogawa see how Tomo acts around him. After seeing her get flustered, they realize she really is a girl, but Tomo's problem is still the same. The only person she wants to notice this is Jun. Even after Tomo's confession, Jun still does not see her as a girl, and then Tomo faces an even worse problem on a crowded bus when someone touches her from behind. Although Tomo wants to hit him right away, she freezes because the situation feels too disgusting and embarrassing, and she does not want Jun to find out. But Jun notices anyway, catches the guy, reports him, and hands him over. Tomo is shaken, but also feels like Jun is finally treating her like a girl, but that hope is crushed when Jun tells her to stop wearing skirts and start wearing slacks, saying skirts do not suit her, and he cannot relax when she wears them, so Tomo gets angry and hits him again. At school, Tomo tells Misuzu about it, and Misuzu first focuses on the groper, confirming Jun handled it right, then says Jun probably mentioned the skirt because he was worried Tomo could be targeted again. Tomo gets hopeful for a second, but Misuzu immediately takes it back and points out Tomo's skirt is already short, asking why she wears it like that. Tomo says it is easier to move in, which just proves to Misuzu that skirts really are not Tomo's strong point. Then Misuzu gives Tomo another risky idea, telling her to stop wearing shorts under her skirt and see how Jun reacts, which Tomo thinks is crazy, but tries anyway. Later, Misuzu tells Jun that Tomo wants to go home with him, and Jun immediately runs to her because he thinks Tomo's not mad anymore. At first, Tomo thinks Misuzu's plan is working because Jun is acting differently around her, but he is not acting romantic, just nervous and strange. On the crowded bus and on the way home, Jun keeps avoiding looking looking at her and then starts walking very fast, and after Tommo catches up, Jun apologizes for what he said about her dressing, admitting he had no right to say that, but also says she should not wear something that embarrasses her because it affects him too. Tommo does not fully get Jun's mood, but notices he is making a rare expression. The next day, Misuzu figures Jun probably saw more than he could handle because he spends half the day avoiding Tommo, but finally forces himself to act normal and asks Tommo to eat lunch with him. Later, Tommo sees Carol Olston, the school's popular blonde girl, and since Carol is always surrounded by boys, Tommo wonders if she is the girliest girl in school. Misuzu says Carol's looks, foreign student image, and defenseless personality make her popular. But Tommo thinks being defenseless is useless, even though she still wants to learn from Carol. Soon Tommo meets Carol with Masaki, the karate club captain, and Masaki explains Carol is his distant relative and childhood friend, but Carol casually says they are engaged. Masaki clarifies the engagement has been discussed, and Carol is also talking about childhood pretend weddings, which shocks Tommo, especially since Masaki is the same boy Mifune and Ogawa like. Then Carol mistakes Tommo for a boy and says she is not interested in boys from her class, so Tommo angrily reminds her she is a girl, but Carol just starts poking her and calls her dumb. Misuzu figures out the real problem. Carol saw Tommo acting close to Masaki and now sees her as a rival. Carol asks Misuzu how to defeat Tommo, and Misuzu refuses to betray her best friend, but when Carol offers her cake, Misuzu at least listens. Instead of helping directly, Misuzu sends Carol to Jun, so Carol asks Jun for help defeating someone, and Jun thinks it is about physical training. He agrees to train her, while Tommo panics from a distance because Jun is spending time with another girl. Carol's training fails badly. She cannot run much, cannot handle strength training, and only claims she can jump rope because she likes bunnies. When Tommo finally finds them, Carol admits Tommo was her enemy, which shocks Jun and angers Tommo, but Carol quickly gives up and decides Tommo is not her enemy anymore. After that, Carol takes Misuzu to eat cake in her limousine and admits she has no friends. Misuzu tells her to ask Tommo because Tommo is kind to anyone who approaches her. Later, Carol asks Tommo to be her friend, and Tommo immediately accepts. Carol gets emotional and calls Tommo an angel, then asks Misuzu to be her friend too. Misuzu agrees because Carol is rich, which somehow makes Carol happy. Later, Tommo tells Jun she has become friends with Carol, and Jun mentions Carol and Misuzu are popular with boys. Tommo says both are cute and girly, but when Jun talks about Misuzu in a strange way, Tommo asks if he likes her. Jun denies it and then reveals he and Misuzu actually dated for a while in middle school, leaving Tommo completely stunned. Tommo is still shocked after learning Jun and Misuzu dated for a while in middle school, feeling left out because they are her closest friends but never told her. When she confronts Misuzu, Misuzu admits Jun finally let the secret slip and explains it happened before Tommo told her she liked Jun. At that time, Jun suddenly asked Misuzu out, and she mostly accepted because she found it amusing and other girls liked him too, but the relationship only lasted 3 days. Their first date was not romantic at all. Jun took her cycling for hours, and Misuzu had to travel 40 kilometers one way just to see a view, which she was too exhausted to care about. The next day, Jun dragged her around again, and Misuzu reached her limit, planning to break up, but Jun spoke first and said they were not a good match, which hurt Misuzu's pride so much her feelings for Jun turned into pure hate. Tommo is relieved they never kissed, though Misuzu explains it in the least romantic way possible, saying the only couple things they did were call each other by first names and hold hands on the way to and from school. Later, Misuzu confronts Jun and hints there was more behind the breakup, remembering Jun kept his distance from Tommo in their first year at middle school and only got close to her again around the time he broke up with Misuzu. Jun does not explain clearly, but his reaction tells Misuzu something really happened. Tommo keeps asking Jun if there is anything between him and Misuzu now, and Jun insists there is nothing, making Tommo happy when he also says he does not like anyone at the moment. A while later, Tommo introduces Jun to Masaki, the boys' karate club captain, and as soon as Jun realizes Masaki is a boy, he reacts badly and challenges him to a match, so Tommo has to stop Jun before he scares Masaki away. Then Jun finds out Tommo is now in the boys' karate club. Jun gets bothered by Tommo's closeness with Masaki, even though he tries not to show it. Later, Jun and Misaki end up taking the same bus home, and while Misaki is nervous at first, Jun honestly talks about Tommo, saying he does not want to join the karate club because under proper rules, he cannot beat Tommo. He admits Tommo is incredible and he still wants to be like her. Misaki realizes Jun also admires Tommo, though Jun warns him not to tell Tommo know any of this. The next day, Tommo is happy to hear Misaki now understands. Jun is actually a good guy. She complains Jun still does not see her as a girl, but Misaki thinks Jun probably understands more than Tommo thinks. Before he can say more, Jun comes over and interrupts them. Then Misuzu notices Tommo has hardly gone out with Jun anywhere since high school started, and Tommo admits she gets self-conscious whenever Jun invites her. Misuzu tells her to stop avoiding him before Jun starts spending time with someone else and advises her to invite him herself, warning her not to choose the usual places like the batting center or bowling alley and pushing her toward a real date. Finally, Tommo asks Jun to hang out during the next break, and Jun gets so excited that Tommo realizes Misuzu was right about how easily he would agree. After that, the girls remind Tommo to treat it like a date, and Masaki and Carol take Tommo clothes shopping, deciding not to make her too girly at once because she would get uncomfortable and Jun might panic. So instead, they pick a soft-style sporty outfit. Tommo thanks them, but they demand every detail of the date in return. On the day of the date, Jun is clearly caught off guard by Tommo's outfit, but instead of doing anything new, they go to the batting center and bowling alley, just like they used to do before. Tommo feels like the date is turning into their usual hangout and notices Jun has gotten stronger lately. To change the mood, she suggests karaoke, and inside the small karaoke room, Tommo gets nervous. Jun notices and says he only agreed because Tommo wanted to go, explaining that as kids, Tommo always dragged him into reckless things, but those things always turned out fun. Hearing this, Tommo stops worrying so much and decides to enjoy herself, and since Jun does not sing first, she grabs the mic and sings children's songs for 3 hours. Later, Tommo tells Misuzu and Carol how embarrassing it was, especially since Jun recorded her. Later, Jun watches the video and realizes Tommo felt a little different during the date. After that, Misuzu and Carol sing a karaoke too, and Tommo is pushed to sing another childish song while they tease her as the queen of children's songs. Tanabe starts his day by trying to get close to Misuzu and gets happy when she replies to his greeting, but she immediately ruins it by pretending she does not even remember who he is. Tanabe still says he wants to see Misuzu smile, while Jun claims she smiles all the time in front of him. Though for Jun, that smile is not cute at all, because Misuzu usually smiles when she's being mean to him. Tommo hears this and starts thinking maybe Misuzu still has feelings for Jun, but Misuzu denies it, though she admits from one angle she does enjoy Jun. She says Jun always looks like he is thinking about something serious, even when he is laughing with Tommo, and this strange side of Jun is what makes Misuzu smile, which does not make Tommo feel good at all. Later, Tommo sees other girls hugging and playing with each other, and wants to try that kind of girly friendship, so she explains to Misuzu that whenever she tries to put her arm around girls, they suddenly become distant. Misuzu fully understands why this happens, but Tommo does not, and when Misuzu refuses to be her first test subject, Carol offers herself. Tommo hugs Carol and gets overwhelmed by how soft and delicate she is, which makes Tommo doubt her own girliness even more, but Misuzu tells her Carol is just special. After that, Carol happily clings to Tommo, and Misuzu gets more annoyed than usual. Carol thinks she caused the problem and apologizes, but Misuzu admits she just took out her irritation on her. Then she lets Tommo try a little friendly contact with her too, though Tommo's excitement immediately annoys her again. Then Misuzu asks why Tommo never tries to hug Jun, since Jun always touches her without thinking, and Tommo realizes she never even thought about it. She runs to Jun and tries to jump on him, but Jun stops her and says they are in high school now, so she cannot do that anymore. Tommo points out Jun does that to her all the time, but Jun decides it is fine when he does it and not fine when Tommo does, which makes Tommo furious because his rules are unfair. The next morning, Jun wakes Tommo up in her room because Goro sent him to call her, and Tommo, embarrassed, tells him to get out, but her mother Akemi acts casual with Jun and insists he call her by her first name. During breakfast, Jun tries Tommo's homemade rice balls, which are filled with dried sardines because Tommo thinks they will make his bones stronger. Akemi explains Goro almost never comes into the house and mostly stays in the dojo because he still gets very shy around her. Later, when Akemi comes into the dojo and says his name, Goro gets so overwhelmed he faints. Tommo calls her father lame, but admits when Akemi is in real trouble. Goro always protects her, and Jun quietly listens to all of this. At school, Carol asks Misuzu for love advice and brings Masaki with her. Masaki thanks Misuzu for being Carol's friend and says Carol's very important to him, but from his wording, it is clear he sees her more as a little sister than a romantic partner. Misuzu realizes Carol's problem is just like Tommo's, because the boy she likes does not see her the right way either, and her first advice is simple: Carol needs to take life more seriously. Later, Mifune and Ogawa ask Tommo for help, because Ogawa is being pressured by a scary third-year boy, and she just wants Tommo to stand behind her when she rejects him. Tommo agrees, but when the boy insults and threatens Ogawa, Tommo cannot hold back and steps forward to hit him directly. Mifune and Ogawa panic because the boy might come back for revenge, but Tommo promises if anything happens, she will protect them. The boy really does gather his friends later, but before they can reach Tommo, June finds them first and beats them up. When the group finally comes to Tommo, instead of attacking, they apologize. Tommo notices June is also injured, but he claims he just fell, and Tommo believes him and decides to make him more sardine rice balls so his bones will not break so easily. Carol asks when Tommo and Misuzu are coming to her house on their next day off, and Tommo gets confused because nobody made any plans. But Carol says this is the first time she is mentioning it. When the day comes, Carol gives them a terrible map, and the girls end up outside a huge fenced property. A woman sees them and asks if they are bad people, and Tommo and Misuzu immediately realize she is Carol's mother. She especially questions Tommo, thinking she might be a boy with bad intentions, but when she finds out Tommo is a girl, she happily invites them in. The path to the house is so confusing, even Carol's mother admits she sometimes gets lost there. Inside, Carol greets her mother with the same carefree affection, then welcomes Tommo and Misuzu. Tommo is shocked by Carol's room because it looks more suitable for a rich girl than a normal student. Carol shows them childhood photos and explains her mother always called her Pudding, which is why Carol wears soft clothes and the ribbon in her hair is the cherry on top. Misuzu guesses the most important rule is not to let anyone eat her, and Carol says she is right. When Misuzu goes to the bathroom, Carol's mother follows her and asks if she is a bad girl because she acted mean to Carol earlier. Misuzu tests her by saying maybe she only became Carol's friend for her money, but Carol's mother just calls her cute and leaves, making Misuzu feel defeated. Later, Carol plays Othello against Tommo and wins quickly, and even Misuzu, who usually never loses at games, is caught off guard by Carol's talent. After that, Tommo remembers midterms are the next day, so Misuzu offers to hold a study group at her house, and Carol joins too. Jun tries to make himself Tommo's tutor, but Misuzu shuts him down by reminding him he was ranked around 30th in middle school while she was first. At Misuzu's house, Tommo admits she did not come much because Misuzu banned her as a kid for breaking things. Misuzu's mother comes home and first mistakes Tommo for Akemi because they look so similar. During the study session, Carol solves a math problem in her head, shocking both Tommo and Misuzu, and her explanation makes almost no sense, but the answer is correct. Misuzu reminds them proper steps are needed in math, then calmly teaches Tommo, who finally starts to understand and gets excited, saying maybe she can go to the same university as Misuzu someday. Misuzu acts calm, but the idea is clearly important to her. When results come, Tommo ranks in the top half for the first time. June is 54th, Misuzu is second, and Carol casually takes first place. Later, June buys the soccer game Tommo wanted and invites her to play it at his house. At first, Tommo is excited because they used to play games together as kids, but then she realizes June also invited her for an overnight stay since there is no school the next day. She tries to refuse in a panic, but Misuzu and Carol stop her and say turning him down is not an option. Tommo tells her parents, but Akemi immediately starts talking about grandchildren, while Goro gives permission without any worry. At June's house, Tommo panics again when she finds out his mother is away on a trip, but they eat June's curry, and Tommo promises to cook for him someday. When June mentions he already took a bath and Tommo can use it after him, Tommo gets very embarrassed and settles for a shower. After that, things get awkward for both of them, but June starts the game, and they play for hours, with Tommo losing again and again because she only attacks and forgets to defend. They plan to stay up late, but both realize late is still early for them, so they go to sleep, with Tommo lying on June's bed while June sleeps in the futon. She starts thinking about how close they are, and then looks at his sleeping face, noticing small details she never saw before. But as she is looking, something happens while June is sleeping. In the morning, Tommo acts normal and leaves, but then remembers she slept on the bed and somehow woke up in the futon. After that, things stay painfully awkward between her and Jun for about a week. Tommo's birthday starts with Junichiro giving her the present she wanted, and Tommo gets happy, then remembers it is her birthday and starts acting proud because she turned 16 before Junichiro. Junichiro is used to this routine. Misuzu gives her reference books, while Carol brings actual gold, saying the big piece at home was too heavy to carry. Misuzu and Carol use the birthday as an excuse to give Tommo a full makeover for the weekend, putting her in a skirt, a wig, and makeup to make her look as feminine as possible. Tommo gets nervous, but after after seeing the result, wonders if she can really look pretty. They both praise her, then force her to go out and buy ice cream in that outfit, saying there is no point dressing up if nobody else sees it. At the convenience store, Tommo runs into Junichiro and panics, but Junichiro does not recognize her. He thinks her face looks like Tommo's, but the outfit, makeup, and way of acting make him doubt it. So he acts gentle with her and helps her when she almost falls. Tommo is shaken to see how differently Junichiro acts when he thinks she is a normal girl, and without thinking, she asks him to walk with her. Junichiro tells her she looked pretty, which almost breaks Tommo right there. They stop by some kids playing a sport, and Tommo forgets her act while cheering them on. She apologizes for getting too fired up, but Junichiro says he likes people who are passionate about sports. Then he talks about a girl who is basically his best friend and admits things have not been the same between them lately. Tommo asks what he wants their future to be, but Junichiro only says his current goal is to beat her. Tommo almost reveals her identity, but then remembers the ice cream and runs back before it melts. Masaki and Carol have a birthday cake ready, and Tommo admits Junichiro called her pretty and she was happy, but what she really wants to hear from him is something else. Later, Junichiro provokes Tommo to confirm she was the mysterious girl, and she punches him, which does not make him angry but actually relieves him, because only Tommo would punch him like that. Soon after, the class versus class ball sports tournament starts, and Hanao announces Tommo will join the boys' dodgeball team for special reasons. Junichiro gets excited because he finally gets to play with her. Their first match against some third-year punks ends quickly, and the second match against Misaki's class is also one-sided, though Misaki mostly worries about everyone surviving. The final match is against Goma Takeru, the school's strongest student and a judo club member, who calls Tommo a fragile-looking young lady, which makes Tommo happy, but he is more interested in Junichiro. He challenges Junichiro to join the judo club if his team wins. As soon as the match starts, Goma knocks out Tanabe and then keeps taking out their teammates. When he finally targets Tommo, Junichiro steps in and takes the hit for her, which makes Tommo furious and turns the match into a final showdown. For her last throw, instead of attacking alone, Tommo passes the ball between Goma's legs to create an opening, and when Goma is caught off guard, Tanabe lands the winning hit, so Class 1A wins the tournament. Everyone celebrates, but Tommo cannot fully enjoy it because playing with Junichiro makes her remember the old days, and she wants them to always have fun together like that. But at the same time, she knows if she wants Junichiro to see her differently, their relationship cannot stay the same. After the tournament, Goma pulls Junichiro aside for a real fight. Junichiro loses overall, but Goma points out he fought without using karate, so the result is not simple. He asks why Junichiro became so strong, and Junichiro says he just wanted to reach the back he always followed. But now things have changed, and he does not know what to do. Later, Junichiro tells Tommo he lost to Goma, but still believes Tommo can beat him. Tommo says he overestimates her because Junichiro is physically stronger, but Junichiro realizes the strength he admires in Tommo is not just physical. During the match, he completely trusted her, and in the end, he admits to himself he really wants to be like Tommo. After the ball sports tournament, Junichiro keeps thinking about why he wanted to become strong in the first place, and the answer goes back 10 years to the day after he moved from Tokyo and first met Tommo. Back then, Junichiro was a quiet gamer kid, and Tommo was already the kind of girl who jumped into people's lives without warning. She got interested in him right away because he was from Tokyo and believed all sorts of ridiculous things about the city. When she saw his handheld game, she borrowed it without thinking and broke it in a few minutes. Junichiro got angry, but Tommo felt so guilty she told him to hit her until she felt properly punished. Then Tommo introduced herself and asked his name, and when Junichiro told her, Tommo immediately accepted him. A while later, Goro came to apologize for the trouble Tommo caused, and Junichiro was terrified by Tommo's father's intensity, so Akemi had to step in and stop Goro from scaring the new neighbors. After that, Tommo properly apologized and told Junichiro to be her friend since they were the same age and lived next door. From that day, Tommo and Junichiro played together almost every day, with Tommo always dragging him outside, and Junichiro slowly stopped being just a gamer kid. Tommo complained he never called her by name, so he finally called her Tommo, which made her so happy. Junichiro got confused by his own reaction. Later, Tommo introduced him to Misuzu, who insulted him the first time they met. Tommo found Misuzu hilarious, but Junichiro quickly learned Misuzu was not easy to deal with. Tommo's idea of playing was always intense. She took Junichiro bug hunting on a long staircase, climbed trees, and treated everything like a challenge. At first, Junichiro could barely keep up, but being with Tommo made him feel stronger, and he started to smile more and felt proud when he could do things he could not do before. But then he learned confidence was not enough. Some older boys took something important from him, and Junichiro lied and said he just fell, but Tommo still found out and went alone to get it back. Junichiro got angry because he was scared. Tommo took a risk for him. Tommo did not understand why this was a problem, because for her, helping a friend was obvious, and this hit Junichiro deeply. He realized Tommo could do something for him that he could not do for her, so he lent her his game and said she could keep it until until he became stronger than her, and when that day came, he would take it back. After that, Junichiro started training at the Aizawa dojo under Goro, determined to catch up to Tommo. Even now, Tommo still has that game and wonders when Junichiro will come to take it, since she already admits he is stronger than her. During summer break, Tommo, Junichiro, Misuzu, and Carol go to the beach together. Misuzu originally had no interest in going, but when Tommo bought a new swimsuit, she and Carol decided they had to see Junichiro's reaction. Junichiro is forced to carry everyone's stuff and seems more excited than usual. When they arrive, Tommo hides because she feels embarrassed about her swimsuit, but Junichiro finds her and tries to make her take off her hoodie. As soon as he sees her, he reacts so strongly that Tommo can barely breathe. Once Tommo starts enjoying the water, she forgets her embarrassment and acts more naturally. Junichiro keeps avoiding both Tommo and Carol because he cannot relax around them in swimsuits. Misuzu figures out the real reason and teases him, but Junichiro refuses to admit anything. Later, a flirty guy comes up to Tommo and calls her cute. Tommo is not used to hearing that from strangers, so she asks him to explain in detail why he thinks that. When he tries to take her away, Junichiro steps in and tells him not to touch Tommo. Tommo feels happy for a moment, but Junichiro ruins it by saying Tommo probably would not want people to think he is her boyfriend. Then he saves Carol from another guy and casually lets the man assume he is Carol's boyfriend. Tommo gets furious, but Misuzu tells her this is actually her chance. If Tommo wants Junichiro to see her differently, she needs to stay close and keep herself in his sight. Tommo follows this advice while she and Jun eat soft serve, and Junichiro tries to act normal, but Tommo's closeness finally starts to affect him. Every time she touches him or smiles at him, he freezes. By the end of the day, Misuzu realizes something has changed. Junichiro might not understand what he wants yet, but now he cannot see Tommo as just his old childhood friend anymore. Near the end of summer break, Misuzu and Carol spend the night at Tommo's house. During King Game, Carol first tries to make Tommo impersonate Misuzu, which is already dangerous. Then Misuzu becomes king and gives Tommo a real order. She must invite Junichiro to the fireworks show, and this time, they have to go alone. Tommo invites Junichiro, and he agrees when he hears Misuzu and Carol will not be there. Tommo thinks his reaction is weak, but Junichiro is actually happy and nervous. Ever since the beach day, he has become more aware of Tommo, and going out alone with her feels different. Meanwhile, Carol asks Misuzu if it is right for them to push the two toward normal romance, but Misuzu shuts her down, though the question bothers her because she was the one who told Tommo to act more feminine. On the day of the fireworks show, Tommo shows up in a yukata, and Junichiro is so stunned that Tommo thinks he might be sick. At the festival, an old vendor recognizes Junichiro, but not Tommo, and when he finds out who she is, he is shocked. The girl who used to wreck festival stalls has grown up so much. But Tommo quickly proves her personality has not changed, treating festival games too seriously. Misuzu, Carol, and Masaki are also at the festival, with Carol dragging Misuzu along so she will not be alone. Near the stalls, two boys approach Tommo, thinking she is alone, and when one tries to pull her away, Junichiro steps in to protect her, but instead of accepting Tommo's thanks, he apologizes, saying maybe she could have handled it herself. Tommo gets angry and explains being strong in a fight does not mean she can handle every situation, then properly thanks him and says she is glad he was there. Junichiro accepts it, and the mood between them changes. Before the fireworks start, Tommo feels like Junichiro is finally seeing her properly, and she almost tries to tell him her feelings, but stops herself, because if Junichiro understands, their current relationship will end, and something new will start. Tommo realizes she does not even know what new thing she wants, except that she wants Junichiro close to her, so she decides not to force it yet. They watch the fireworks together, and afterward, Junichiro clearly understands one thing. He cannot fight with Tommo the way he used to. When the new term starts, Tommo gets depressed because Junichiro starts acting very careful around her, even greeting her in a weird, distant way that creeps her out instead of making her happy. Carol notices Tommo and Junichiro are changing, just as Misuzu planned, but Misuzu does not look satisfied and worries about what will happen to her own place with Tommo if they become lovers. This worry is interrupted when a group of punks looking for revenge on Tommo tries to grab Misuzu. Misuzu stays calm and memorizes their faces, but Carol gets involved, and the two girls end up running to an abandoned factory. Misuzu calls Junichiro for help and tells him not to inform Tommo, but Tommo notices her dangerous mood and forces the truth out of him. When Junichiro says he can handle it alone, Tommo refuses because Misuzu and Carol are her friends, so she will not wait safely while someone else saves them. Tommo and Junichiro arrive before things get worse and take down the punks together. Misaki also shows up looking for Carol, misunderstands the scene, and gets furious, thinking someone did something to Carol. Carol is happy he got angry for her, while Misuzu has to correct the misunderstanding before Misaki hurts someone. After the fight, Misuzu sends Tommo home, then corners the punk leader, using the Aizawa Dojo's reputation and Goro's name to scare him, so every local punk will stay away from her friends. Junichiro stays behind and realizes Misuzu chose that place on purpose so the leader could not escape without consequences. On the way back, Junichiro says he waited because Misuzu is still a girl. Misuzu reminds him Tommo is also a girl, but Junichiro says things are not that simple with Tommo. The next morning, Tommo worries her rough side ruined her progress with Junichiro, but he greets her normally again, and for Tommo, this is exactly the right distance. Misaki remembers that when he was little, he was gloomy and had no friends, until his mother brought his cousin Carol to play with him. When he saw Carol, he became convinced she was an angel. In the present, Misaki joins the Aizawa Dojo because he wants to become stronger. Goro accepts his resolve, but says Misaki is weak, and even claims he has something dark hidden inside. Tommo immediately starts him on stair runs, push-ups, and a sparring match. Misaki gets exhausted but still wants Junichiro to face him seriously, so Junichiro becomes his first opponent. Misaki thinks this is his chance to earn Tommo's respect, but Junichiro overwhelms him. During the match, Junichiro tells him passion alone is not enough. If Misaki wants a stronger person to acknowledge him, he has to build up effort until he surpasses them. Misaki tries to land a hit, but Junichiro accidentally knocks him out. When Misaki wakes up in Tommo's room, practice is over. Tommo apologizes because Junichiro could not hold back, but Misaki just feels pathetic. Tommo realizes he is trying to become stronger for Carol, and Misaki admits that since childhood, Carol has gotten into trouble many times, but he has never been able to properly protect her. Tommo tells him not to reject everything about himself just because someone else is better at one thing, saying there are different kinds of strength and physical strength cannot solve everything. Later, Carol notices Misaki seems more manly, and he tells her he is training because he wants to be someone Tommo can acknowledge. Carol asks how he feels about Tommo, and Misaki explains Tommo is a role model he wants to reach, not a girl he likes romantically. Carol understands, but this pushes her to take action. Carol asks Junichiro to hang out after school, and when Misuzu questions her plan, Carol warns her things might not go the way she wants. Carol takes Junichiro to the park, then somehow ends up in his room, where she admits she likes someone, and if it does not work out, Junichiro will be partly responsible. Then, Carol starts teasing Junichiro to test how he reacts around girls, and Junichiro gets shaken, so Carol points out he acts the same way around Tommo. She warns him if he keeps being scared to see Tommo as a girl, he might lose his place beside her. Later, Junichiro meets Tommo and looks drained from Carol's attack, realizing Carol was right, but he still cannot fully accept Tommo as a girl because he has not settled his old score with her yet. Then Carol apologizes to both of them. The next day, Carol also apologizes to Misuzu and reveals she told Misaki she spent time alone with Junichiro. Misuzu realizes Carol is more dangerous than she looks and decides to push her relationship with Misaki forward. First, she confronts Misaki and gets him to admit he loves Carol. Misaki says he always saw Carol as strong, so strong he was afraid she would accept kindness or rejection without showing pain. Misuzu decides he needs to see Carol's real face, so she tells Carol she has no chance with Misaki and he does not see her as a girl. Carol knows it is a lie, but it still hurts her so much she runs home. Misuzu feels guilty, but sends Misaki to Carol's house and tells him to see her current state. Tommo notices something happened and, instead of scolding Misuzu, demands an explanation. Misaki goes to Carol's room and finds her deeply hurt, and for the first time, he realizes Carol is not an angel or goddess. He apologizes, then explains. Misuzu lied to expose her vulnerable side and push him, and now, with nowhere left to run, Misaki finally tells Carol he loves her. Carol celebrates and says she loves him too, because he has always stayed beside her and treated her kindly. Later, Carol's mother explains Carol always keeps smiling, because when she was little, she told her she looked cuter that way, so since then, Carol stopped crying. Misaki promises Carol now has friends, and knows not just he or her family, but others love her too. The next day, Carol returns to school, and everyone expects her to be mad at Misuzu, but Carol kisses her on the cheek and thanks her. Tommo says Misuzu lost, but Misuzu refuses to admit it. Tommo and Junichiro enter the school marathon planning to compete seriously. Tommo is confident because she trained hard, and Junichiro says he plans to win. They also decide the loser will pay for drinks for a week. Carol points out boys and girls are running different routes, but Misuzu already knows once the rivalry starts, neither of them will care. The race begins, and most students quickly lose energy, but Tommo and Junichiro push ahead with the same stubborn goal. Neither wants the other to get ahead. Tommo notices Junichiro has not been enjoying karate with her lately, so she tells him to use his full strength today day and keep pace with her, which fires him up, and for a while, Junichiro feels happy again because competing with Tommo still feels right to him. Then Junichiro realizes the problem. Tommo already passed the girl's turning point. He warns her, but Tommo refuses to turn back because she wants to compete with him properly. So Junichiro accepts it, and they keep running. Even Masaki, who is proud of his improvement, loses confidence when he sees how far ahead they are. But suddenly, Tommo collapses. Junichiro checks on her and finds out she has a fever. When he asks what she did before the race, Tommo admits she ran for hours after dinner, took a bath, went to bed, and somehow woke up naked. Junichiro immediately realizes she overtrained and caught a cold. With no phone and the teacher far behind, he stops thinking and just carries Tommo back himself. When Tommo wakes up, she finds Misuzu with her. Misuzu explains Tommo has a cold, and Tommo learns Junichiro carried her back. She feels bad for ruining their contest, but Misuzu tells her Junichiro still finished first, probably because carrying Tommo made him run even harder. When Junichiro comes in, Misuzu and Carol leave Tommo with the advice to use this chance and depend on him. Tommo tries to act weak and asks Junichiro to carry her again because she does not remember the first time. Junichiro complains but agrees anyway, and on his back, Tommo notices he has grown up. Junichiro almost says the same about her, but stops himself. Tommo apologizes for the trouble, and Junichiro tells her helping her when she's in trouble is natural, which reminds Tommo of what she told Junichiro a long time ago. Later, after Tommo recovers, Junichiro comes to her house, and Tommo thanks him and returns his old game. Years ago, Junichiro lent it to her and said he would take it back when he became stronger than her. Tommo says he should not think he can beat her in everything now, because both of them have their own strong fields. Junichiro accepts being on equal footing with Tommo is the best way for both of them, which takes him back to the time before middle school when he finally landed a hit on Tommo at the dojo. Tommo said he had caught up to her, but she also looked a little sad. Around that time, Goro explained Tommo had natural talent, but if she had no real equal, following her path would not be good for her. Then middle school started, and Junichiro finally learned the truth he had somehow missed for years. Tommo was a girl. That realization made Junichiro awkward around Tommo. Other students started asking if they were dating, and Tommo denied it by saying Junichiro did not see her that way. Junichiro started getting embarrassed, got jealous around her male friends, and ended up avoiding her for a whole year. During that time, Misuzu was also struggling because she could no longer keep up with Tommo's active life. Misuzu confronted Junichiro and told him he was only alone because he did not want anyone to take Tommo's place. Then, Junichiro asked Misuzu out, hoping it would help him face Tommo. There was no romance in their relationship, and their dates were terrible for Misuzu. Misuzu almost thought she could not stay friends with Tommo, but Tommo pulled her back, telling her being beside Misuzu was more important than sports or strength. Misuzu realized her worries were pointless and decided to end things with Junichiro, but Junichiro dumped her first, which still annoys her. After that, Junichiro finally apologized to Tommo. Tommo got angry because he avoided her over rumors, then told him if they wanted to stay together, other people's opinions did not matter. They promised to stay best friends. Back in the present, Junichiro realizes they have both changed. If he wants to stay with Tommo, he has to face the Tommo she is now, and as soon as he does, he finally admits the truth to himself. Tommo really is cute. Junichiro's birthday is coming up, so Tommo decides she wants to buy him a present. The problem is, she has no money, so she tells Misuzu she wants a part-time job. Misuzu immediately gets worried because Tommo barely understands customer service and reminds her she cannot just punch customers for annoying her. Since sending Tommo to work alone seems dangerous, Misuzu agrees to work with her. Carol joins too, and Tanabe offers them jobs at his family's ramen shop. At the restaurant, Tanabe's father Tatsuro welcomes them and explains he and his wife usually run the shop together, but his wife went to visit family. The girls are given waitress uniforms, but Tommo is not happy because the outfit does not seem right for a ramen shop. Carol likes it, while Misuzu refuses to wear the same uniform and tells Tommo to accept her fate. When the shop opens, Misuzu handles customers smoothly, but Tommo freezes on her first greeting, and Carol gives a customer cake as a recommendation, even though the shop does not serve cake. Misuzu quickly decides Carol is useless for orders and puts her outside in a panda costume to attract people. Meanwhile, Tanabe gets too excited and says, working with Misuzu feels like she married into his family. Misuzu makes him repeat it until all his courage is gone. Then Junichiro comes in and sees Tommo in a waitress outfit. Tommo is shocked to learn he already comes to this ramen shop about once a week. Misuzu immediately asks what he thinks of Tommo's uniform, and Junichiro, in his clumsy way, says it looks good. Tommo expects him to laugh, but he honestly says it does not look bad. After eating, he says he will come again the next day and actually visits every day during break. After 3 days, Tatsuro pays the girls and gives them extra because their work brought in good business. Misuzu also agrees they could help again sometimes, partly because the restaurant lets them work freely. After that, Junichiro waits for Tommo outside again. Tommo asks if Junichiro was so bored he came every day, but he admits he came because Tommo was there. He says when Tommo served ramen, it somehow tasted better, then praises her for doing a good job. Tommo finally gives Junichiro his birthday present, a matching item. Junichiro gets excited, and Tommo nervously asks if wearing the same thing will bother him, but he says matching with Tommo is no problem because it makes them feel like a team. Tommo feels relieved for a moment, thinking Junichiro is still Junichiro, but when she suggests eating cake at his place, Junichiro says his mother will be home late and asks if they can go to Tommo's house instead, making Tommo feel maybe something really has changed between them. Later, Tommo asks Misuzu how to make Junichiro see her as a girl, and Misuzu suggests physical contact, coming up with a reckless plan to push Junichiro down the stairs so Tommo can catch him. When Misuzu makes it a strength issue, Tommo gets caught up in the idea, but when the plan starts, Junichiro dodges and accidentally does something to Carol, then tells Tommo to punish him for it. Misuzu realizes she went too far, and feeling guilty, she finally falls onto Tanabe, who cushions her fall. Since she feels the need to atone, she lets him ask for a reward. Tanabe overthinks and wastes his chance, only asking to exchange contact information. After that, Misuzu admits to Carol she might not actually want to see Tommo and Junichiro get together, realizing she has been blocking them without fully admitting it. Misuzu then stays home from school for several days because she cannot face Tommo. Tommo comes to her window with sweets, but mainly wants to know why Misuzu is avoiding her and why Carol has been closer to her lately. Misuzu tries to hide behind her fake illness, so Tommo leaves their class script for the cultural festival play. When Misuzu returns, she finds out the class cast her as Cinderella, Tommo as the prince, Carol as the stepmother, and Junichiro as the tree. She gets furious, especially since Carol suggested her for the role. During practice, Tommo struggles with formal acting, but Misuzu tells her to speak more naturally, and suddenly Tommo's prince lines start working. Tommo still worries playing the prince means people will never see her as a girl, and Misuzu realizes this insecurity started because she once told Tommo to act more feminine. Now she decides it is her job to undo that idea. Festival preparations continue, and everyone moves forward while Misuzu feels stuck. Junichiro notices and tells her to face Tommo directly instead of thinking in circles. Later, Tommo practices her prince lines with Junichiro and makes him read the Cinderella part, which embarrasses him, but Tommo enjoys it and keeps telling him to continue. The cultural festival finally starts, and Tommo's family, Carol's mother, and Misuzu's mother come to watch the class play. Misuzu's mother only comes because Misuzu lied there would be no festival, so now she plans to record everything as payback. Goro is more impressed by Junichiro's tree role. Because Jun hides his presence so well, he really blends into the background. The class performs Cinderella, with Misuzu as Cinderella, Tommo as the prince, Carol as the stepmother, and Junichiro as the tree. Misuzu looks more dangerous than pitiful, but the play still continues. When Tommo appears as the prince, she surprisingly plays the role very well. Misuzu thinks Tommo really is a prince at heart, but Junichiro also understands Tommo sometimes wants to be treated like a princess, and he believes all those sides are still part of her. The play ends with Tommo, as the prince, finding Cinderella and asking her to marry him. Misuzu expects the others to act jealous, but everyone suddenly starts congratulating Cinderella. Tommo accepts it too, because in the end, the play was fun, and Misuzu admits the punishment was not so bad. After the play, Junichiro praises Tommo, and asks her to walk around the festival with him. Tommo agrees, though she tells him he can stop wearing the tree costume. They go to the maid cafe, where Mifune and Ogawa serve them, but clearly want them to leave soon. Then they go through the haunted house and play games, with Tommo beating Junichiro again and again. Tommo enjoys spending time with him, but starts wondering if she really wants to end their current best friend relationship. At the after party, some girls ask Tommo to dance, but Junichiro steps in and asks her first. Tommo gets embarrassed because everyone is watching and warns him people might misunderstand, but Junichiro says they would not be wrong. Tommo cannot handle this answer and runs away before he can continue. After that day, Tommo starts avoiding the topic, acting energetic around Junichiro, but whenever he tries to talk about the after party, she escapes. Carol and Misuzu quickly figure out Junichiro probably said something close to a confession, and Tommo ran away because their feelings finally became mutual. Junichiro asks Masaki for advice and admits he likes Tommo. Masaki gets so happy he cannot stop himself from reacting, then tells Junichiro the best thing is to tell Tommo directly. Junichiro decides to do this, but first goes to Misuzu. He apologizes because he realizes he loved Tommo even when he was dating Misuzu for a short time. Misuzu is stunned. He still worries about her after all this time. She tells him their old relationship was her own mistake and he should forget about being considerate for her. Before leaving, Junichiro thanks her for always caring about people, though Misuzu refuses to accept the praise. Then Junichiro sends Tommo a challenge letter. Knowing if Tommo thinks someone wants a fight, she will definitely answer. Tommo rushes to the rooftop and finds Junichiro waiting. He tells her to hit him because he deserves it, then admits he understood her confession when high school started. Tommo realizes he knew she loved him, but still acted like nothing happened. She hits him, but then understands he was scared too. The difference is now he is facing her, while Tommo is the one trying to run away. Junichiro finally tells Tommo he loves her. Tommo panics, calls him an idiot, and runs away again. Later, she tells Misuzu and Carol what happened. Tommo knows they both love each other, but she is afraid because she does not understand what will change if they start going out. Then Misuzu apologizes and admits she was wrong for making Tommo think she had to become more girly. She tells Tommo nobody needed her to change, and she was fine the way she was. Tommo realizes Misuzu was carrying this guilt alone, and after thanking her as a best friend, she runs back to settle everything. Tommo finds Junichiro and asks him to say his feelings again. When he confirms he loves her, Tommo can barely believe it, but still worries being a couple means they cannot stay best friends. Junichiro refuses to give that up, so he suddenly challenges her to a race. After losing again, he explains that is the relationship he wants. Even if they become a couple, he still wants to compete with Tommo and treasure everything they built together. For him, Tommo is his childhood friend, best friend, rival, and the girl he loves. Tommo finally accepts they can be selfish about what they are to each other. She tells Junichiro she loves him too, but the confession hits Junichiro so hard he collapses. Tommo panics and checks if he is alive, and Junichiro can only answer that he is.